Should we watch a video? Top decks to help you survive post-nerf hell.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back. The meta decks that have been dominating Snap for the last couple of months have finally been hit by the nerf hammer, opening up the meta back for the taking. Now, I don't know if this is you, but if you're lost on what decks to play after all of the nerfs for the next couple of weeks of the season or their foreseeable future, today we have you covered.
Do you guys feel lost? I don't feel too lost. Feel lost?
As I talk about my favorite decks right now to be competitive in the ladder and what I think will do well in the new
Jaw.
Now, obviously, you're going to recognize some of the decks from the previous meta as they're not just going to disappear, but we have something for just about everybody. This is not going to be the meta deck report. That'll be in about a week or so. As you guys know, I don't like just to launch that out for the clicks. I like to make sure it's pretty solidly grounded.
Yeah, this does look like a Dan Hip shirt. This is Dan Hip Cozy variant. Very colorful.
And it's going to take some time for the decks to rise and fall before we have a firm grasp at the new meta. And we're going to start today with the deck that I hold pretty much responsible for getting me a good chunk of the way to infinite, and that's going to be the Good Cards deck. Now, a lot of good cards.
Damn, did you see that rank? 104. All right, here's a good card, the Meta Buster. It's just a good cards deck. It's like the Leech Leader Dara deck, except it's more modern, you know? You got She-Hulk. Still Arrow? Wait, he's still saying this is nutty? Maybe it is.
For the deck is still just fine.
Let's speed this up.
If you do replace a couple of cards, it's going to be completely optimized to do well in the current ladder. Again, the name of the deck is Good Cards, so you can swap out other cards for some of your favorites. In this build, I did swap out Armor for Wave, but feel free to throw in Thor or Maximus or throw in Shuri, Titania. A lot of cards work here, and this deck is absolutely great for handling the majority of the decks out there.
Yeah, Arrow is good with Wave, because they can only play one card. So maybe that's a little bit of their thoughts behind the nerf or whatever patch. I think Wave and Arrow are like good friends, like in the comics, right? So you can play Wave, and then you could She-Hulk Arrow, or you could play Wave, and then you can She-Hulk Doom. It's pretty good, pretty good. Using a list similar to this and doing well. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. He's a Dan Hip Star-Lord variant, yeah. Great
for handling the majority of the decks out there. If you want a full deck breakdown with a turn-by-turn instructions, you can go ahead and check the top right corner or in the description. Now, our next deck is very similar to the last one, as its core base is built around, well, just good value cards. We're going to have great...
This man loves Agent Coulson. Every time I talk to him, he just talks about how much he loves Agent Coulson. But this is good. Another kind of good cards deck, yeah. All right, we got Devil Dinosaur in there. Dino's just great. We drop Arrow here, go for Coulson for a random value. White Queen, a little info. Fill him the hand up. I don't know about the Maximus, but I guess playing him in a Cosmo lane or something.
Great tempo here. We've got tech cards like Shang-Chi, White Queen for the intel, Devil Dinosaur, and Agent Coulson have a great surprise play on 6. You can go ahead and throw in the newly nerfed Arrow. She still works just as good here. Or if you do have access to Zabu, he is perfectly fit here with Agent Coulson, White Queen, and Shang-Chi as your 4-cost cards. And we've got Magneto as the finisher, who I believe is one of the best cards now in Snap. If you have not had the chance to play Zoo, the sequel, I recommend giving it a shot.
Zoo the sequel? Wait, this is Dracula Dump. Wait, this is just the Dracula Dump deck. Call it Zoo the sequel? The version with Destroyer is better. You could drop Titania for Destro.
It's definitely more of a competitive deck at the moment, especially with Killmonger exiting the meta just a bit now that Thanos has been nerfed, and we should see less of him altogether. You can throw in more big power units down below if you want a bigger shot for your Dracula, and you flood the board.
I do like King in this list. Someone said, where's King? Honestly, it's a really high cube win rate with this, I think, exact list. But you drop Titania for King because King lets you dump your hand so that your Dracula is more consistent. Also can get you like snap cube or bait cubes and whatnot. Yeah, it's one of the main drawbacks of King is that your hand size is smaller and sometimes he's just a dead card, but it's actually kind of a benefit in this situation.
Board with this deck, it performs great. There's a lot of ways to play it, and there's plenty of replaceable options depending on your collection level. Now, I know they targeted Thanos Lockjaw for a nerf, but Jane Jaw is still doing perfectly.
Is this the list we were running? He has Dracula. We didn't have Dracula. We didn't have Nightcrawler. We have Vision over Nightcrawler, and we don't have She-Hulk. I guess it was a bit different. Ours was nothing though. Non-stop.
There's so many ways to customize the deck. Here's a pretty good shell of a very solid competitive deck that right now, if you don't mind RNG, the deck can be pretty consistent with its high power and
no Leech. Well, look down here. You got Leech in the bottom left.
Reliable draws. You just need to know when to retreat and when to go all in. With only about 1,000 games into the current season, it's rocking a 60% win rate at the moment, so hop on it while you can. Now, this is supposed to be the pool 3 only decks, but MODOK...
I have noticed, I wanted to loop back around to a MODOK deck as well. Just MODOK APOC Dracula decks are doing quite well. I recently did a video on it, right? I forget what the video was called, but it was popping off. I just don't know how many people have MODOK, but I also do realize a lot of people love MODOK. Oh, I see Jeff said Arrow is good with turn 5 wave. Yeah, They just wanted her for the wave combo, I guess. Taco Hulk and Jane Shaw. I forgot. Yeah, I forgot Taco Hulk has extra power.
It was just last season, so I'm going to throw him in this bunch. Modok discard. Very reliable right now for steady climbing, and it performs at a high level against even the more competitive decks on the ladder. If you do have access to Modok, definitely recommend the build. Simply overwhelming the opponent with Swarm and having great value with Calling Wing, Wolverine, and Morbius. The deck has reliable power and consistent, dependable draws. Let's go and take it up a notch and just look past Pool 3 and start looking at Pool 4 with Darkhawk and Valkyrie, who, in my opinion, are some of the better cards in the game now that they avoided the nerfs. Now, I've used these decks in tournaments to climb the ladder pretty well this season, and we've got to start with my favorite, and that is Sarah Control. Now, I do have a full video break.
This is just a Darkhawk list.
Disgusting!
If you call this list Sarah, people love it. If you call it Darkhawk or Mike Hawk, people hate it. Just don't like that Darkhawk is a thing.
Breaking this down in efforts not to repeat myself, but guys, Sarah Control has continued to be just a reliable deck and probably one of my favorites to play at the moment as people try to figure out the meta in the decks they are playing. You're equipped with everything you need.
I mean, I guess it's not banking on Darkhawk, right? We don't have Black Widow and Korg, so it's just got the slide. It's not all in on the Hawk, so it's fine.
To simply counter what the opponent is going to play. You have great curve, good tempo, and just an explosive turn 6. Arrow getting nerfed doesn't matter in this deck, as Sarah is going to give you that discount to have her at a cheaper play. With Sarah,
I think there's a much better Sarah list that probably just doesn't run Arrow, and I don't know how good Darkhawk is. Is he that good? I mean, he's trying to bank on Zabu. I feel like almost Enchantress might be better. It really depends on how the meta shapes up. I don't think Darkhawk's gonna be that big. Still seeing a lot of Thanos. Yeah, if you're still seeing a lot of Thanos, I see Darkhawk being okay.
in the deck, you can play things like Shang-Chi and Darkhawk on the same turn. You can also just load the board with your cheap cost cards. Simply put, the deck is reliable. I've used it multiple times to climb continuously. Again, if you don't have Zabu, you can do the cheaper version of the build, and you can find that in the top right corner. Say hello to one of my favorite decks, my tournament deck, Rocks and Hawks. Now,
Rocks and Hawks. Okay. So yeah, this is banking more on Darkhawk rock stuff. We do have Zabu still. We don't have the Sarah. Instead, we go for a little Dino package with the Mystique. Mystique is good because she can copy the Hawk or the Dino. We have Moon Girl, so you could just go with the classic double Dino, which sometimes just wins games, and go with the double Hawk or the Hawk Mystique. That's a fun one. Yeah. Moon Girl into Hawk Mystique, or Zabu into Moon Girl to Hawk Mystique. Oof, that's a lot of Hawk.
All little things have been adjusted, but I went 3-0 against Leech, took down Thanos easy. This deck simply slaps. You have so many things at your disposal. Playing Darkhawk early is usually advantageous. You can throw armor in the deck if you want to protect your Darkhawk. We have Devil Dinosaur and She-Hulk to play the big explosive turn 6 if you skip turn 5. We have White Queen for the intel, Rock Slide to power up the Darkhawk, and then of course Zabu that's going to benefit every single forecast card in the deck, in addition to Agent Coulson's card that he pulls as well. If you manage to get Quinjet down, that yes is still a fine card, and you have Zabu on the board, you're looking at super discounts for Agent Coulson's cards. I've been waiting for the tournament to wrap up, but I will be doing a full deck guide on the deck. Again, I think Darkhawk is just so ridiculous, and this deck uses and abuses his ability to the fullest. Just make sure you're well aware of the opponent's deck size and you just know how many cards that they do have so that you can appropriately calculate your Darkhawk. But let's move on to Sarah Surfer, and it is back at a competitive level. Still a great win rate.
I think we got Surfered earlier today, didn't we? I think we got Surfer. I think Surfer, yeah, might be a little bit back. I just, you know, I did I get leeched today? Hold up. I don't think I got leeched. I was going to say this gets creamed by a leech, but I didn't see any leech today. What's the name of the channel? It's Cozy Snap. This is the video.
And even better post-nerfs that have happened. You have Goose to control the opponent. You have the Nova Killmonger combo. And then Sarah just gives you an explosive in-game that a lot of decks cannot match.
Well, hold up. You got Groot in here? Wait a minute. I guess because of Silver Surfer. Is there really not a better 3-drop than Groot? It'd still be kind of fun to mess around with. Sure, I get it. But Groot? Yeah, Storm might be a little better than Groot. I think he forgot about Storm's existence because it's not even, Storm isn't listed below. So yeah, I think he forgot about that. He does have Juggernaut on the left, unless he's about to show it in a different
Fantastic
list.
Maximus. There's just so many good 3-cost cards. And now that the Space Stone has been nerfed, we can now appropriately play the Storm version of the deck that utilizes Juggernaut and Storm to close down locations early, Polaris to go and pull whatever was on the flooded location.
Yeah, this looks like it'd be good. I wonder if it's better than the Toxic Sarah. I feel like it might be. I think Toxic Sarah was better when people were flooding the board, right? Running Hazmat, Luke.
Back to your main locations, and then you simply just beat them with the Silver Surfer and the giant combos. Now, they tried their damnedest to nerf Shuri, but guys, she's still the heavy hitter to knock off the throne.
This is just the base Shuri list. Probably, maybe better than the Sauron list. It's just, that's it. That's the one. People play this. It's good. Shuri, main bad guy.
Is still very reliable and super consistent with the same game.
It's frustrating. What you just play you play 3 cards and you can win sometimes, or maybe a Sunspot on 1, you do nothing. You do nothing. You play Shuri on 4, you do nothing, and then you can do She-Hulk task, or you play Shuri on 4, and Then you play Red Skull on 5. Then you play Taskmaster on 6. Maybe with the 1-drop. Sometimes it's not even needed. But if your opponent doesn't draw Shang or something like that, then you just easy GG.
Plan, right? You use Shuri to activate Captain Marvel, Red Skull, She-Hulk, and even the post-nerf Arrow. I also like to go and remove Arrow or Captain Marvel for something like Arnim Zola. For more game...
I think Zola's not great, personally. Unless you're like ramping him out early. Zola is kind of just one extra copy of your card. Unless you're like maybe dodging a Shang, I guess. It's really fun for like dodging Shangs, yeah. How would you nerf Shuri? I feel like you put her at 5. It's hard to nerf her. She's at 5, do you kill the card? Maybe. Make her a 5/5? Yeah, I guess you could up her power and put her at 5. I'm cool with that.
Game plans now that Taskmaster has been adjusted slightly. You do have to be a bit more careful with your Taskmaster play, and be sure to protect your big cards with Cosmo or Armor if you don't plan on Arnim Zola. You have one
maybe like adding... Yeah, I like the adding power to a card idea. That might be interesting. I haven't really thought about it, but figure out the average stats for a 4 cost. What is it, like 410 would be like premium. So maybe like the next card you gets +7. But then people end up just abusing with Brood. So I don't think that works, actually. No, I don't think I like that. I think you have to put it at 5. Kill the card. I think I'm okay with that. Or you just cheese her out with Electro. Just Electro into Shuri. Anyway. Electro, Shuri, Red Skull. The deck only plays 1 card a turn anyway.
Cards that are super powerful, the 0 in Red Skull combo, the 0 Titania, 0 Lizard, plenty of options in the deck. If you do have access to Shuri, I recommend using the deck until they probably end up nerfing her again. Now to wrap up the pool of 4 decks, we're going to move on to Valkyrie Control, and I stand by this being one of the most underrated decks and more underrated cards in Marvel Snap, with the other cards getting nerfed in Valkyrie.
I love Valkyrie. I think Valkyrie's underrated. We were playing that Bast Valkyrie deck earlier. My god, it nutted hard, right? I'll probably make a video on that one. That one's really good. And it's pretty good against Shuri Red Skull decks. The hard part about that is you need to win priority, which is quite difficult. Just get good, I guess. Win priority, and then you just Valkyrie their Red Skull before they Taskmaster, and then you win.
Avoiding one, she's definitely going to be perfect for this season of the meta. The main point of the deck...
Cerebro 3 is rough because of Red Skull. Just ruining the integrity of the deck. You do run Shang-Chi and C3, but it's hard to draw sometimes. I gave C3 a run, I think it was yesterday, and I didn't do too hot, but I think I also was just maybe drawing bad or something. Maybe it went okay. I think it went about even. I thought it would have done better.
Is to be shutting down lanes early and using ongoing cards in combination with Valkyrie's ability to get the advantage. We have Thor and Jane Thor in the deck. Jane Thor is going to pull the 0-cost cards to play alongside Valkyrie. Cards like Mojo, Thor, and his hammer for cheap, easy power. However, with the same vein of the Sarah Surfer deck, Storm is back, and I think it's going to be perfect for Valkyrie control. Again, we're looking to shut down a lane early with Spider-Man, with Professor X, or Storm, and then we simply play...
These variants are sick. Look at that Mysterio and that Bishop. I love those. And then he just uses the base on some of them. This is an interesting list. Control Valk, you just shut a lane down, and then you Valkyrie the other lane, I guess.
Valkyrie on top of Angela, Mojo, Ant-Man. A lot of things work together in the deck, and I think it's going to shine this season. Now let's take it up another level. For those that did buy Thanos or those that have pool 5 cards, we're going to talk about some of the more dominating decks even after the nerf. I can completely tell you that Thanos is still going to be pretty dominant. He's a great card, and all of those Infinity Stones still have several purposes that you can utilize. I've been playing him pretty much since he came out, and even before Lockjaw, he was a good card. So we're going to break down Thanos decks, and then, of course, we've got to talk Galactus. My friends, this is Galactus'
Galactus OP. Like the idea of Shuri only doubling power of the next card played in the same lane. I think that'd be good too, like kind of limiting her power so you know where she's gonna go. Taskmaster would still be good. I think that'd be an interesting contender. A Valk pin worth 3k tokens. I think with the current way tokens are set up where you cannot buy pool 3 cards with them anymore, series 3 cards, you can only buy series 4 and series 5. I think you should buy all the big bads because they're gonna stay at 6 tokens, 6k tokens. After that, I do like Valk. If you have the big bads, I do like Valk a lot. But big bads are forever 6k tokens. You cannot spend your tokens on series 3s anymore. So once you've finished all the big bads, just go for the good ones. Do not just buy what's new, I think. Thanks for watching my YouTube
world, and we are simply just living in it. I think Galactus decks are going to be extremely tough this season because, well, Arrow has been nerfed and we'll see less play overall.
I still think Galactus is being underplayed. I don't know if you guys are running into a lot of Galactus, but I think it's good. It's nuts, especially with less people running Arrow, at least for the time being. Being able to Galactus is just OP. If you have Null. If you don't have Null, I don't know how good it is, but you can still do like the Nimrod builds and stuff like that, and he's very good. I think this is a tier 1 deck without the meta being stable and stuff like that. Lots of people playing Galactus. I haven't ran into too much. I guess you can easily counter Galactus. So if Galactus becomes meta, then you just start playing Debris and goblins and stuff like that. I took Galactus to my first infinite, yeah. And Cosmo, yeah, Cosmo good as well. He's easy to counter. So if he's a strong deck that's easy to counter, I'm okay with that.
And that was one of the bigger counters. So long as you can learn when to play Galactus, when to snap, when to do the dance with priority so you can play Shang-Chi, or just lay down a instant win null or death. Galactus is very straightforward, and it's pretty simple to win as long as you understand the basics. Now,
I think Spider-Man is a bad inclusion in this deck. First day on this patch, I only saw Galactus. Really? I mean, it makes sense. I think a lot of people were predicting this to be good. But I don't like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is good at winning games, but he's not good at winning more than 1 or 2 cubes. You will never win a lot of cubes. I think null is cracked. Because this game isn't about win rate. It's about cube win rate, right? So Spider-Man really lowers... He ups your win rate, but lowers your cube win rate, I think. You're not going to get those 8s and a lot of 4s. But null, people are always like, you don't have null. And then you do have null. What'd you put instead of Spider-Man? I have some videos on my YouTube with different null decks. What is the most recent one? This isn't fair. This is vile. Oh, even some like King might be pretty good, to be honest. But I haven't looked at my list in a while. Moldoc, Shang, Wave, Electro. Cloak, Yondu, Psylocke. Cloak, Yondu, Psylocke are cards I have in here. I don't think I run Shuri, but there's also like a Nimrod build on this that is pretty fun. So there's some variance between the Galactus decks. I don't really know what's best at the moment. Has so many haters. Yeah, it's a pretty frustrating card. I think it's the animation. Last time I got Galactus, I closed my game.
Obviously, this is just one shell of Galactus. We have Nimrod, who has come out recently, and you can utilize the crazy Nimrod Galactus decks, and this one does perform as well.
I like this one a lot. This one's fun. This one's a good one. The Raccoon is an interesting include. What is Raccoon for? For Valkyrie? I do know that Cozy loves Raccoon, but I feel like Yondu might be better. The Valk ending to give you +1, only if you're tied on cards at the location. I feel like Raccoon is probably better as a Wasp if it's used for that case. But I don't like Wasp here. I have a Nimrod deck as well, a Nimrod Galactus deck. What is my Nimrod Galactus running? This was the craziest deck that I played. Best Nimrod. Is it this one? I think it's this one. Galactus? Oh yeah. Wait. Oh, it's totally different though. Yeah, it's a completely different deck. I have no null in there. I have Hobgoblin and Shuri. Oh, he has Shuri. Deathlock, Venom. I love that list. That one was a lot of fun.
At a very high level. Now you can play things like Valkyrie followed by Rocket Raccoon if you don't draw Shang-Chi. And again, it's all about that priority dance once again. But you have backup options outside of Galactus with this deck. Now, also with Nimrod, a common practice with Galactus is a turn 6 deck.
Like
I like playing something like this where you combine just toxic cards and a lot of negative power on the opponent's side.
Very different.
If they're not expecting it, it's at the last turn of the game, so they cannot react to it. And there are giveaways in this deck, but they're not as obvious as other Galactus decks because you're not exactly playing a ramp card. All right, yes, he has been nerfed, and yes, they did address a lot of things to target Thanos specifically. But
I feel like he's trying to do a lot of things, but maybe it's just because sometimes you don't end up Galactusing, or sometimes you do just win through a Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Galactus. Like sometimes that's good enough, you know? Green Goblin, Nimrod, Hobgoblin, Galactus on their Goblin lane, and you kind of just win. The Luke and Hazmat are possibly just an alternate win con.
Exactly playing a ramp card. All right, yes, he has been nerfed, and yes, they did address a lot of things to target Thanos specifically, but guys, obviously, he still slaps. We're going to be looking at it.
Is this going to be the most popular Thanos deck, the ongoing one? I don't mind this one. As long as there's no green leech guy, I'm okay with it.
A few Thanos decks today, but we start with the ongoing version that does not use Lockjaw, and we have replaced Quinjet with Luke Cage. Now, Luke Cage is going to synergize both with Lizard and Valkyrie. She will not be able to reduce things like your Thanos, Spectrum, and Lizard below their original power. We have Devil, Dinosaur, Blue Marvel, Khazar, everything that just helps Valkyrie reset the opponent's side and keep yours afloat or at a higher value. And all these ongoing cards are also going to benefit with our other win condition in Spectrum. Now, we end on Thanos Death, or Infinity Death, as I used to call it, and this is a Destroy Thanos build. We're going to be looking at Lockjaw again to be filtering our stones to try to get these high-power cards to pop out, or we can look at the other win condition by playing our stones down, using Killmonger to destroy the opponent's side. One-cost cards are everywhere right now, so you can get some easy power and destroy your own.
I don't know if I've seen much of this. This ends up just looking kind of like a ramp Lockjaw deck. I mean, it's fun. You might think the curve looks high, but in reality, you know, you're putting 5 or whatever, 6 cheap stones in your deck. Null does look a bit expensive, yeah. There's even like the triple big bad decks running around with like Thanos, Galactus, and Null. I guess Null isn't a big bad. He's definitely a big bad in the lore, but not in the game. Someone asked what the big bads are. It's Thanos, King, and Galactus. Those are always going to be 6,000 collector's tokens.
Stones to play things like Null, You get tons of value out of Wave when you play Doctor Doom. You can Odin the Doom, and Lockjaw has a chance to pop up a lot of great cards in combination. And if you do things right, you can play Death for very cheap. Obviously, the She-Hulk Death and Wave combo. A lot of moving parts here in a very solid deck. So there you go, guys. These are all the decks that I would currently play if you are struggling and you're trying to close the gap to Infinite. Again, off the top of my head, I think Sarah Control, the Good Cards deck, and then Rocks and Hawks all perform at a very high level if you do happen to have Darkhawk. But if you have Thanos, if you have Shuri, those are going to dominate, and until someone can knock those decks out, they're going to continue to reign the top of the ladder. Let me know if you guys enjoyed today's video, and good luck out there climbing. If you did and you're looking for more content, we have a lot covering the patch this week. Go ahead and subscribe down below, and until the next one, happy snapping.
Okay. Well, that was fun, right? Did you guys enjoy that? Was that a good time? I think it was all right. You loved it? Okay, great. Yeah, everyone go watch Cozy's video. I'd be surprised if you hadn't heard of Cozy already.